What is up, everybody? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. You're going to get a nice little look at this whiteboard. You're going to appreciate it. Let's get started. So first of all, we're going to bring everybody back to, we got Hector working at the same time. And we're going to make this known right now. The crime scene report 32. This is Talbot writing up everything that they collected. When I say they, the Idaho State Police collected on day one being there. All of these items were listed in report 32. Okay. I highlighted the only one item that they actually sent to the lab to be tested in their first go round, meaning like out of everything that they collected on day one, they only sent the sheath. Okay. There was physical items that they collected. There was all the blood swabs, steak knife, as you can see, all the different stains. Then they took the swabs. And we get all the way to the end of the report where Talbot's like, hey, we're sealing it up. We're done. We're good to go. Awesome. Now we bring in the actual lab reports. They went back to the scene to literally swab these items. I'm going to be reading these. These are 61 areas from the scene. Okay. They went in and they used orthotolidine. And it's to be, when you're spraying an area, it's going to let you know if it's going to be presumptive for positive or negative for blood. Okay. Out of these 61 areas, then within the report, it says the following stains were negative, which is right here. These are the ones that we tested that were from the second floor. This is from the third floor. Everything else, all other stains were positive, indicating the presence of blood. Now, we're going to show everybody where these are, and this is why it's important. We're also going to be talking about the latent prints that they went back and did. And this would be from report 5. So what's big to know here is that every item at the lab that went all the way to 20, except for the sheath, had everything to do with the victims. Then again, 25, 26, 27, and 28, those are 4 exemplars for each of the victims. 22, 23, and 24, those are actually not from the victims, and you're going to see what those are. But first, I'm going to go back here, and we're going to break down. Here we go. Right here is your King Road kitchen. Obviously, all of you guys have seen this photo before. Going down, we're going to use some terminology here. What they use is, that is your south window, your kitchen south window. That's it right there to the left. Zoom in. So whenever you hear them talking about taking anything from the south window, that's the window that they're talking about. Go to the next right here. That's your sliding glass door. And some of the phrases, they use the word plastic glass door. Plastic slider. Anyways, right next to it, then you're going to see, now I'm going to explain how this works with them describing the north wall in the kitchen. That is going to be the wall where all of those cabinets are. That's considered the north wall. Also, right behind the sink, if you zoom in, right behind that sink, there's a kitchen window over there. But right in the diagonal caddy corner, when they talk about the north wall right behind the sink, it's going to be right under those cabinets. When they talk about the cabinets on the north wall, that's the cabinets that are right next to that refrigerator. So we're going to move to the stairwell, which is going to be all the way to your right. There we go. If you can zoom in, when they're talking about this stairwell, and they're talking about a half wall, they're talking about from the first floor to the second floor. The south half wall is on the right side. Okay. Your north is going to be on the left side. And then up above, That is a view from Dylan's vantage point, Dylan's point of view. And we're going to be posting as we're going little tabs to show you what they were interested in and why at the end. If you go down, obviously right there, your living room, we're going to talk about a couple different spots on that, which is if you go down one more. Now, that half wall, so there's a half wall that you can see where the bev cart was. When they're talking about a west half wall, that's where the bev cart was. That's your west half wall. When they're talking about a north half wall, please zoom back in. That's going to be where your railing is. That's your half of that wall. Doesn't go all the way up where the stairs are. On the so on the inside, that's going to be considered the north half wall when you're in the living room. When you go to the next, if you go down, actually raise it over to the right. Is there anything more with the living room? Okay, this will be Xana's room. We'll get to that when we get to it. I just want to, all right, so we're going to jump right into it. What's crazy here is that when I say that they didn't take anything from the first go round and start testing, they only had the sheath. That's all they tested was the sheath. When they go back for this second trip, the north, so stairwell area between the first and second floor, the north wall of the stairwell, half wall of the stairwell, the west upper wall of stairwell. So they tested those areas. The second floor leading to part of the west bedroom, which is towards Xana's room. The north wall of the hallway leading to the west bedroom, and then the south. So on both sides. Okay. Again, the south side will be on the left-hand side if you're walking towards Xana's room, and the north is the right-hand side. Then they did the edge of the west bedroom door, and they did the exterior of the west bedroom door. The exterior. Now, I want to go ahead and show you guys Xana's bedroom again. The exterior of Xana's bedroom. So is there, yep, that's it. Zoom in. The exterior of Xana's bedroom door, so it's going to be opening in towards the closet. See, to the right of the door there, you can see there's a closet right there to the right. There's like a doorknob there. When that door would be opened, if you're opening it, it's going to be going towards the closet. Okay, so the exterior is if it was opened and there's something on that exterior wall. Exterior part of the door. Just making sure we're all clear on how that door opens. Back over here. I'm going to zoom in. Right here. By/on the light switch of west bedroom. Very, very important. By/on. Okay, it's on the light switch in Xana's room. Now, we'll just tell you what we believe is we believe that's a smudge mark and that would have been done afterwards and turning off if you're shutting down the light. Again, we don't have a picture of this, but that tested positive and it came back for blood. And the way that it's written is like by/on. It's not just like some little speck. By/on. It's like all around it. Smudging. So then the south wall of the west bedroom, that's going to be where the head of the bed is. This bed was pushed up against, so I'm going to go back to show you her bedroom. Xana's bedroom. Right down, a little bit further down. Okay. The wall that's to the right there, that bedroom was pushed up against there. And then all the way back, so it's touching, you have, it's like tucked in that left corner. just so everybody can kind of get a visual there. Okay. There's a little crevice and then when you go right around that, it was all the way up against that side of that wall that's in front of us. Let me just go over here and mark it. The bed was up against this wall. Woo! Okay. So the west wall of the bedroom, and that would be the on the outside of the house. So the inside of Xana's wall, but it's the wall that's on the outside of the house. Like, so but it's obviously the inside. There was a small table with one drawer in the west bedroom. There was on the floor of the west bedroom, they did 3 evidence markers, 33, 37, and they were interested. We can't say specifically, but when I broke down the notes then of how this forensic scientist was documenting, they were basically in and around the pooling of blood where Xana was. For the second time that they went back there, and they were concerned at the floor of the west bedroom, and that was Idaho State Police D2 marker 3337. There was a garbage can in the west bedroom. They were interested in something there. Then the furry chair in the west bedroom that was up against the left part of that wall, corner here. So the furry chair was over here. Then she had a mirror. Then here was their phone. A laptop was on the chair over here. So it was not here. And then she had a dresser. She had a dresser that was just this. Okay. This is really, really important to show. Here we go. I'm going to bring this back in. And so everything here that they mention, everything that they tested here, that they talk about. The furry chair in the west bedroom, the table with the 2 drawers in the west bedroom. Then you go to the second floor bathroom. They tested the edge of the bathroom door. They tested the white towel in the bathroom. Both no blood. Second floor living room. So we're going to go to the folding table in the living room. They tested that table, beer pong table, blood. Now, zoom in right here. This is the bar cart left of the leg of the cart down here. They tested this. Negative for blood. Whatever was there, and they thought it came negative for blood. And I think this is really, really important because they talk about path of travel of human being. Okay? And I'm gonna get into that when I explain this path of travel, but that's the right of the bar cart in the living room. And then it's the leg of the bar cart, so it's separate. And then the white flower vase on the bar cart. They tested all of that. There was no blood found on the leg of the bar cart, and there was no blood found on the white flower vase on the bar cart. Okay? But the right of bar cart in living room, that was marker D2, 59, and that had come back positive for blood. And so that's going to be more on the up part of the table of the cart, not down below. Then we move to the second floor of the kitchen. And so go back here. Second floor of the kitchen. The floor under the north wall of kitchen cabinets. So I was describing this earlier. Use the other one. Go to the cabinets. Okay, perfect. So that's considered the north wall of those cabinets, and the floor that's underneath those cabinets right there. That's what they're referring to. the floor under north wall of kitchen cabinets. Then the north kitchen wall behind the sink, then the kitchen cabinet, then the kitchen sink, and then we get to the sliding glass door. Now, out of that area, again, remember this is the no blood. The leg of the cart, no blood. The white flower vase, no blood. Then you get to the kitchen. The floor under the north wall of the kitchen cabinets, that's not blood, whatever that is. Then the kitchen sink, they're saying it was negative. Negative. So whatever they were saying was in the kitchen sink was negative. But the part that actually is positive, and so it should be interesting, is the right behind the sink that's actually up on the north part of the wall that's behind the sink. That was positive for blood. Yep, right there. That was positive for blood. And that's going to be that north part of that wall behind the sink. And it's going to be like a little bit more to the right of the sink because that's the north part of it. Now, the sliding, the kitchen cabinet, whatever they sprayed over there on that side, negative. The sliding glass door, no blood was on the slider. But let's talk about what they sprayed over there and how they did it. How they did it was, it's really interesting. They said, just sliding glass door. Sliding glass door. Okay. And then the area of the switchback stairs, which is between the second and third floor, they tested the east wall, lower staircase. They tested the west side of the wall, the south side of the half wall, and then the east side of the half wall. And so let me show you. Nope, that's not that one. Go up towards the third floor, down, 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 right there. Nope, right there. So these are half walls here. This is going all the way up here. And then you have the wall that's when you're facing to walk up the stairs for the first time to going to the third floor. So that would be the south wall, the wall that that has the window coming out of it. That's considered the south wall. And then the north wall is this half wall right here. So it'd be the inside of it that you see. And then the east and the west are obviously on the sides of the staircase when you're going up. And the west is more towards Xana. And the east is going to be right up along Dylan, like her room. All right. So what should be really interesting about all of this is there was hair collected. Going to go back over here. The following items were collected from the scene by Barry and Tara Martinez. One potential hair from the half wall between the floors 1 and 2. And that is what they marked with a marker F. And so if you're going back down by where you would walk up from the bottom level floor right here, it's going to be on what they said as, they're referring to it as the half wall between floors 1 and 2, marker 5. Well, it's either going to be that's going to be on the inside. So again, right between 23, 24, that area. Now pay attention. Here's a bomb coming. 2 potential hairs from the second floor hallway leading to the west bedroom, marker 1 and 2. So they marked that, and that's a wall that we've never gotten to see. Okay, and that's going to be on the right-hand side when you're walking to the west bedroom, into Xana's room. And then the potential hairs from the second floor west bedroom door. There's hairs on the door. Again, and then they move to the outside when they're going to be talking about right here is 1 cigarette butt from the exterior of the south side of the residence, marker 3, and then the potential face, hand, and finger marks from the exterior south kitchen window, which is 7 through 9, and then 1 paper note located in the parking area, marker 4. Well, they don't do anything with that stupid note. Okay. Now let's talk about how they process this south window. So powder processed the following areas. So it's the exterior lower pane of the south kitchen window, the exterior frame around the lower pane of the south kitchen window, the area around the handle of the exterior and interior of the kitchen sliding glass door. So right there, let's talk about that door is the area around the handle of the exterior and interior of the kitchen sliding glass door. They left that for prints. They're trying to get prints. And the frame and jamb of the interior of the kitchen sliding glass door. So the interior, not the exterior, the interior. And then 6 latent lift cards, which is L1 and L2, were collected from the exterior lower pane of the south kitchen window. I photographed the approximate size, blah, blah. And she's talking about the west bedroom and the second floor. And then she's talking about the bloodstains up there. We're going to talk about that on a later live, because what we're focusing on is the order that they went ahead and did their work on what they were deeming as most important. Okay, hey, if we're going to be putting stuff into a lab, why are we choosing to do this and not this stuff? You collected 113 pieces of evidence. What truly got sent to the lab? Well, I'm telling you guys that the first 20 items has everything just to do with the fingernail clippings, okay? All the victims' DNA cards, the blood cards, and then the sheath. That's how you get to items just 1 through 20. Then we're talking about items 24 through 28, which were each victim's fingerprints. Okay. And then where do we go after that? This is where we're going. This is where they went. They went to, now we saw on the PCA, here we go. Tara Martinez and Youngling processed the following areas with amido black. Okay. The other stuff that we just talked about was not processed that way. Here is your amido black. So one of these items is the item that was in the probable cause. Okay. Number 1, the upper handrail between the first and second floor. So going to the first and second floor, the upper handrail of the first and second floor right here. Number 1. Number 2, the hallway leading to the second floor west bedroom. So the hallway going down to Xana's, the hallway leading to the second floor west bedroom. That's number 2. Number 3, the second floor west bedroom floor in Xana's room. They were processing something in Xana's room on her floor, okay, with amido black. This is Xana's room. Second, and then the next thing is here is we're on number 4. Second floor west bedroom doorknobs. The doorknobs. So there's a closet doorknob, and then there's obviously her doorknob to her bedroom, front and back. Number 5, threshold of the second floor east bedroom boom. Here it is. We're going to go to Dylan's point of view. This is the threshold of the second floor east bedroom. Ready? Dylan's room here. The threshold. So over here on the left-hand side, it's going to be where you would like close the door right there, like along that side. Next, after you go to the threshold, where was my little marker? Okay. And guys, that's the interior threshold of the, the threshold of the second floor east bedroom. Then the next one here, number 6, is the interior and exterior handles area of the interior kitchen sliding glass door. That's how she wrote it. 7, the door jamb of the kitchen sliding glass door. Then interior threshold of the kitchen sliding glass door. Number 9 is the edge of the kitchen countertops. The edge of the kitchen countertops. The half wall railing between the second and third floor. So between the second and third floor, and that's the half wall. So that's going to be in the inside. When you're going up the 7 steps, then you're going to have to come back to that, like basically pivot to come back up. It's going to be on your second floor, your second tier to go up to the top. Next, and the third floor east bedroom, which is Maddie's, the threshold and doorknobs, interior and exterior. Then Layton's L3 through L6 were collected via photographs. On the following, the second floor west bedroom floor was L3, so they went for prints that they were able to pull, and they labeled those L3 from Xana's room. On the following, so this is where they took pictures of these Layton's, so it's L3 through L6. And the first one here is L3, and that's going to be Xana's bedroom floor. Then L4 is going to be the second floor east bedroom threshold. They were able to get a set of prints on the inside of Dylan's door. Then, at least that they were like whatever you want to call their quality, and you'll find out. Then on the following, then on L5 here is the edge of the handle from the interior kitchen sliding glass door. Then that's going to be L5. And L5 and L6 is what they went after hard with all these databases. And so again, L5 is the interior kitchen sliding glass door. L5. And then above the handle of the exterior kitchen sliding glass door. So going in from the outside then, and then when you're leaving, that's why they're saying the interior. L5 and L6 become to be huge with the investigation. They are like trying to find who those prints belong to. L5 and L6. So where were those located? Those were located. It has to do with the sliding glass door. Now, on 11, so she says that we're done. So right here, we cleared the scene on 11/18 at approximately 9:14. Well, I want to show you guys something. When you go back and you actually look at the Idaho State Police report that was written up by Talbot, who was there. Okay, this is his. He wants to combine 11/17 and 11/18 together. And he says Then on November 17th and 18th, Idaho State Police forensic scientists, and he lists the names. Ayers, Hogan, Martinez, Wyatt responded. For further processing of the residents, the ISPFS processed the residents and the following items were seized. Potential hair collected from the north wall, potential hair collected from the south wall, cigarette butt collected from the yard, note collected, potential hair collected from the south, potential hair, DNA swab collected from exterior of south kitchen window. So this is everything that we kind of just went through. The router and the modem, that's when it was taken. 21 blood swabs. Refer to the forensic report for locations. And I have those here. And then the 6 latent lift cards collected from exterior of south kitchen window. Well, and that's where I was like, we have a problem here because that's just not where they were. They were not just all from the exterior of the south kitchen window. In fact, this is completely misleading. Does everybody see that? I just sat here and told you guys where they took these L3 through L6 latents. And it was not on that window, on that south window. Yes, they did take prints from there, but that's not all that they did. Not by a long stretch. And in fact, what they were most concerned with was L5 and L6. And that, my friends, is just, that's not even where, he's not even mentioning that. All right. Going back to this report because it's so important, right? When they got done with this, okay, when they got done on 11/18 up here, hey, we left, we pieced out, 9/14. All evidence collected was turned over to Detective Talbot on 11/18, just an hour later. And then we transferred digital images, including whatever we did with the Liz Q shit. The next day on 11/19. So we're going to compare this. 11/19. At approximately 11:13, again, Martinez and Hogan head on over to 1122 because they're going to photograph potential tire impressions. Okay. And they're going to photograph these potential tire impressions in the road across from the residence as requested by Detective Talbot. And I said, wow, Detective Talbot wants that. Well, geez, Detective Talbot is the one that said he didn't think that they were going to be, he thinks that they're going the wrong way. So why would he be requesting that? So that's interesting. We're going to come back to it. But on 11/19, I want to show you guys something. If you were to read Detective Talbot's report here, it says, on November 19th, at about 2:03 p.m., I returned to 1122 King Road, Idaho, for further processing. Period. At about 5:24 p.m., I resealed the front door and left the scene. MPD remained on the scene outside the residence. Period. Do you guys remember when I said I'm going to get to the bottom of the fact of why Detective Jeffrey Talbot wants nothing to do with writing anything that occurred on November 19th? I said, whoa. Well, what happened on November 19th? Well, at approximately 11:13 a.m., Jeffrey Talbot says on November 13th at about 2:03, he returned to the house. Well, that's interesting. These girls say at 11:13 a.m. they returned, and they were actually outside of the house. I took the photographs for the overall location, condition, and identification. I took comparisons, quality photographs. We cleared the scene at approximately 12:15. 12:15. Well, that's interesting because, again, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that would be way after 2:13, right? See that? Oh, well, yeah, what the heck's going on here? So 11:19, these people are done. They went there to check out the tires, the tire impressions. They leave. Then I said, wait a second, look at this. Now, if you're writing up a report, why would what you did on 11:18 be underneath what you did on 11:19? Okay, so now I'm going to play that game of rewind. Like, oh, rewind all the way. We have to go back to 11:18 night. Okay, we have to go back to the 11:18 night because on 11:18, ready? Eric Grower, 2011 Toyota Prius would be literally photographed. Not only photographed, but they got into his vehicle and searched it. Here it is on 11/18, 2022 at approximately 7:34 p.m. Hogan, Wyatt Berry arrived at blank address to process a vehicle. They were accompanied by Detective Tolson. No report, Tolson. And Detective Lehman, is that right? Well, interesting. And the owner of the vehicle. They were all present upon the arrival. The vehicle is a 2011 gray-colored Toyota Prius. This matches 1,000%. Where is it? This matches 1,000% with Jack Showalter's comments to the police that said the girls got in a gray, sedan of some sort. And then Bethany is asked what kind of vehicle Eric drives. Gray, smaller car. Okay, check. License plate this, VIN this. The vehicle was located in a large vehicle bay. Have you guys seen Detective Tolson's report on doing anything like this? No. Have you seen Leslie Lehman's report on going and searching a vehicle? No. So, ready for this? Here it is. When Ann Taylor is saying to the world, why did you think that this was a Honda Elantra? What did you originally think this car was? What kind of vehicle did you think that this originally was? What is those 7 make models? Anyways. They said that the vehicle was located in a large vehicle bay. Hogan photographed the vehicle for overall location, identification, and condition. Well, where are these vehicles? I mean, where are these photos? We didn't get those dropped in the ISP drop. Shit, we didn't even know if they did that. No, we did this day until right here, right now. We ever talked about the fact that Eric Grower's car was searched, photographed. But that's all. Look at just photographs of the vehicle for overall location, okay? And then look at this, for identification. Identification of where, what? Why? What do you need to identify? And condition. For what? For the cameras, for the surveillance cameras, you guys. They cleared the scene at approximately 8:44. We transferred digital images to Detective Talbot on 11/19. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Let me see what I found here. Who writes up a report to get this into evidence? Let's see. Next. Again, this is the same report. Next. On 11/18 at approximately 9:17, oh my God, Hogan arrived at Jack DeCour's apartment to assist in the search of an apartment. Hogan was accompanied by Detective Talbot and Sergeant Van Leuven on 11/18. Oh, let's see here. 11/18. What do we got here? What do we have? Talbot. 11/14. Okay, 11/17, 11/18. Okay, let's go back to this. There we go. This is what Talbot did on November 17th and 18th. He's at King. After they processed the residence, collected it, turned over to me, I resealed the windows and doors that were open during the process. Okay, boom, boom, boom. I resealed everything. Great. Law enforcement remained unseen outside the residence. So now what we have to go look for is when Talbot says that he went over there, and which he did, and he processed, okay, Jack DeCour's apartment. Now, Jack DeCour's apartment had 2 blood stains. Well, what they tested, they thought was blood. Yep, blood stains. But guess what, guys? No, they're not the victims. Okay? But they didn't submit those blood stains. When do we think that they tested those? So here, if you read this, it says, okay, when we go into his apartment, there's apartment 1 and there's apartment 2. Okay, there's a hallway with a kitchen. And so it reads it all off. And then it says, Hogan performed 2 presumptive tests for the presence of blood on the south wall of the entry hallway, marker 1, and on the east wall of entry into the kitchen. It tested positive. Okay. Hogan cleared it approximately 10:24. So they were there for an hour. All collected swabs were turned over to Detective Talbot on 11/18 at approximately 10:41. Now, this was wrote up. So it just says period. Period. The digital images are being retained by Idaho State Police, and Youngling and I uploaded all digital images, excluding those that were the LizQ imaging system, to the digital, and they did that on 11/19. And now here, Tara Martinez is writing this report. And I said, what the fuck? 8/18/2023? What the hell? What the fuck? Why would you not write up this report? Why are you doing any of this so what I'm trying to show you and prove to you guys is that everything that has to do with everything in this report that I just read, none of it was wrote up and made a report, okay, until August 18th, 2023. This is Tina with What the Fuck Translation Services. Why the fuck would you do this? You're supposed to be going after things that are supposed to be of evidentiary value. If you're writing, where does it say that anything was tested? What's going on here? This person's just writing up this report and doesn't write up the report until August 18th, 2023. So everything that we just talked about in here, we're going to have to go to a different report if we want to see when any of these items, like what happened, what's going on, what the hell? Okay. Then report 11, items that were collected. Well, wait, they usually say when evidence is collected and turned in. Well, so here, this report is report 5. Report 5. These items 25, 26, 27, 28, they were obtained the same day on 11/18 or 11/16, and then by the time that they got to them to get the cards, because what this is, hey, we need the victims, we need their 4 exemplars so we can like start eliminating wherever their fingerprints are in the house. Okay. So 25, 26, 27, 28, those are, here's, 25 is Ethan's. Here's Xana's prints. Here's Maddie's prints, and here's Kaylee's prints. And so it says right here that one latent print was examined for exemplar. Let me just zoom in here. And it was for comparisons. Latent print 5, remember how I told you that was going to be important, is a value for comparison. Latent print L5 is a value or multiple modal biometric identification system inquiry. Latent prints of value were analyzed and compared to the known exemplars being the names of, right here. Latent print L5 was entered and searched through MBIS where no likely candidates were generated. INCE in the table above indicates that the comparison is inconclusive to the available exemplars. The inconclusive result is due to a lack of quantity/quality of detail in the known exemplars. So you have shitty ass samples that you took from the victims. Excluded in the table above indicates that the latent print is excluded to the exemplar used. So L5 is not any of the victims. No fingerprints were found to be on file for, and then this is redacted, and it's not the victims' names. In order to complete the comparison portion of this examination, it is requested that a quality set of fingerprints be submitted. If a suspect is developed by your agency at a later date, a fingerprint card or the appropriate suspect information should be submitted for comparison. There are 3 remaining latent prints captured from 1122 King Road, which is L2 and L6. Additional report to follow. Disposition of the evidence is that the latent prints were marked and preserved. Digital images used for analysis and or comparison are being retained by Idaho State Police Forensic Services. Again, remember, items 25 to 28 are being retained in the laboratory pending further comparisons because those are the victims. Okay. Digital evidence will not be returned to the submitting agency. Signed 11/28/2022. Next, report 6. These are just my guesses here, but Jack DeCore, Jack Showalter, Cole Barenborn, and then another subject. Again, that's just me guessing. It could also potentially be Bethany Funk, but this is, the cigarette butt to be used as a secondary reference sample. 33. Again, going in order here. 34, 35. When have you guys seen yet? Okay, let's go back to, hey, remember this? Remember the first day that they went there to process the scene? What were they taking that was of evidentiary value? Okay. Remember all of this stuff? Well, none of this stuff has even been put in except for the sheath from anything that they did on day 1. So here we are on report 6, nothing. This is the cigarette butts that they went and surreptitiously obtained. Okay. And the DNA profiles obtained from items 33 and 34 were determined to be from the same male. Blank is not the source of the DNA profile previously obtained from item 1.1, which is the sheath. Okay. So let's see the date, though, that they knew this. And that date, the big reveal, on 11/23, this report was written saying, whoever the hell, okay, you're chasing down, the cigarette butt person, right? This person is not male A. It's not male A. The DNA profile previously obtained from item 1.4, again, see that report, indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile. So this is the 1.4. So right here is where we find out for the first time that 1.1 is male A, which later they will say is Brian Kober's. But now we get to this part, which is, oh, the DNA profile previously obtained from item 1.4. That's the mixture. That's an unknown male that's mixed with Kaylee and Maddie. Well, that indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile. Assuming a two-person mixture, blank is excluded as a contributor to this DNA mixture profile. Do you see how you are now 100% in complete, like, anybody out there that is going to tell you that there is not another male DNA on that sheath is an absolute liar. And why mainstream media will not talk about this is completely mind-blowing. There is another male's DNA mixed with Kaylee's on that sheath. And they compared it right here in front of our faces. You can now tell the world that you know for a fact that that sheath had another male's DNA mixed with one of the victims. Anybody telling you otherwise is a fucking liar. And if I was a parent and that was my child, I would have all questions in the world to ask. What the hell is this? You're comparing, you use the DNA from the cigarette butt that you were chasing down whoever the hell it was, right? And it wasn't male A, because that's from the 1.1, and then, or vice versa, here's the 1.4, which is the mixture. And that, why are you testing against both of those if it doesn't matter? Because it does matter, because it's male DNA mixed with Kaylee or Maddie. Okay? It's right here in front of our faces. People out there, Othram, I have a question. You went out and told the world that there was only one profile on that sheath. There was only one profile on that sheath, a male profile. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. And you were never given the sheath, Othram. You were never given it. You were handed a vial, and for God knows, we have no idea where that vial truly came from. But they're going to say it came from the sheath. So I'm going to say it came from the sheath. But you were never handed this item. And so that's just a complete false statement. Completely false, unless you want to say that the Idaho State Police lab is lying. Who's ever pumping this narrative can literally go shoot blanks somewhere else, because you're not going to shoot blanks to me or anybody that follows my channel. I'm going to tell you the truth. That is a fucking lie. And I got confirmation today from, I think, a pretty decent, reliable source, because we wanted to double, triple, quadruple check a very important part of this case, which is that Brian Koberger's name was typed into the Idaho State Police name tabs in the lab. Boom, name put in between 11:28 and 12:05. There is no doubt, and I will challenge anybody, there is no doubt that Brian Koberger's name was known between and typed in to the database by a human being between 11:28 in 2022 and 12/5/2022. Period. So you want to tell me that Payne didn't know about his name until 12/19? Then guess what I'm going to tell you? Then Payne, you are not the lead investigator on this case. And you being briefed twice a day, I don't know where the fuck your brain was. I don't give a shit. Because your left hand ain't talking to your right, and your right ain't talking to your left, or somebody is lying. Somebody that had information and who had access to type something into the Idaho State Police forensic lab to put names in tabs that these forensic investigators were like, yo, what's going on here? Where are all these names at? What, on 12.5, you see nothing but bench notes about it. It's wild. They're hiding behind IGG. They're acting like they got to Brian Kober because of IGG. And I'm telling you right now, they did not. They did not. And they've been hiding behind it from jump. And they also use it as a way to pump that IGG is so great. They did not. Did not. That's why they can't produce any fucking trees. And when you're asking for all these different generations to pump in their DNA, hey, will you give us your DNA in a fucking vial? You are so far from getting any type of hit. You're so far off. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now, you've always asked, how did you get to Brian Kober? How did you get to Brian Kober? This channel said it day one because I knew the PCA was bullshit. You can read that and you can tell within 2 times of reading it. How did you get to Brian Kober? Well, if I was the Gonsalveses, I would sue the living fucking shit out of WSU, out of Pullman, and out of Moscow, and out of the University of Idaho, because those 4 agencies, they really know. They really know. And nobody was ever allowed to say how they truly got to him. Whether they want to say they're protecting someone or something, you follow the money. What's the biggest thing that you'd ever protect in those 2 areas? And it is the easiest thing, and it's the fucking schools. Now, going back over here, now that we've all came to the very smart conclusion that this is a lab report written by the Idaho State Police, and in their own lab report, okay, they are telling us that they compared the cigarette butt, the DNA that they pulled from that, they compared it to 2 different unknowns on the same item, which was the sheath. Unknown male A, which is what they eventually linked to Brian Kober, but there's another unknown male. And that's where they did this little, because it was a mixture, because the mixture of with Kaylee's blood on that sheath, and that also came back, it's a male mixture mixed with Kaylee, and the hit on it, it was not the person's DNA, that is the cigarette butt. Now, if you just weren't mind blown enough, check this out. Why Ann Taylor then tells the world, hey, this was multiple perpetrators and people were killed either simultaneously, right, by the different people. And why I think she really wants to go with that is because there was 2 different entry points and exit points, out the back and people, and out the front. Okay. At the end of this report, it says the disposition here is all items have been returned to the main laboratory evidence vault for return to submitting agency. Well, Lana, what were you talking about, Anne? And what does she think? I'm going to show you. Report 7, going again in order. We know that this is what they did with report 7. They took item 3, 4, 6, and then all of this. Again, this is all pertaining to the victims, except for item 4, which was a swab from debris that was located in Xana's bedroom floor. Okay. So there was 2 things, item 3 and 4, but the rest here, this is all 6-1, 7-1, 9-1, 10-1, and 12-1. Those are the victims' fingernail clippings. Okay. And then you got the DNA extracts from that. So that's what that is. What they did is, this is when you're going to get to, okay, we took the fingernails off of the victims, and then we're going to compare it to whose DNA is, underneath. And so we've all heard and seen that portion of it where they're saying they eventually are able to determine that Brian Kohlberger's DNA is not under the nails of any victim. However, there is a male DNA underneath the fingernails of Madison Mogen. And at first, nobody thought that this was a big deal because everybody was dead. Everybody was sleeping when they were killed. So that's why nobody fought back. So that underneath the fingernails of Maddie, it could have been from anybody that she would have been hanging out with maybe earlier, a friend, whatever. But all they did is they just compared it to the I think they used Ethan, that Cole kid. And that's what this section is saying right here, is that, and they even compared Ethan's because he's obviously a male. And Ethan actually had the highest potential. He couldn't be excluded. So, and then this report was written on 11/23. And then the item that they were looking for on item 4, no DNA was detected. So it was like useless. And that's on the floor. Floor 3, bedroom floor. And the number 3 was, item 3 was from, I think, Xana's. So this is where they did this breakdown here in your highest ratio. Ethan, 3.33. That's Ethan's. Ethan. Next report. The next thing that should have been important, going in order. Items 23, 24, 29. And then when you actually look at these items, I was like, holy shit. Again, all of these items was from the second go round, third go round over at that place. Nothing from what they originally took. So the things that should be important here is item 23, 24, and then 30. And item 30 is submitted swab of stain on bottom of handrail. And this is what's going to mind blow everybody here. This is report 8 and this item 30. So let's see what they do with this. And they say that the results. So item 30. So here we go. Results from presumptive chemical tests performed on item 23 and 24 indicate the presence of blood. Items 29.1, 29.2, 29.3, 30, and 31.1 were examined only for the purposes of sampling for the DNA analysis. Item 31.2 was not examined. So submitted swab of stain on top of the wall, submitted swab of stain on edge of half wall. So this is all stuff from going from floor 1 to floor 2. Items 23, 29.1 through 29.3, then 30, 31.1. Any portion of item 24 were forwarded for DNA analysis. Results will follow in a separate report. Okay? Is that right? I said, okay. So, hey, that was written on 11/28, the day that Brian Kohlberger's name could potentially have been entered in, because it was between 11/28 and 12/5 right now. From all the evidence that I have, I'm able to narrow it down from 11/28 to 12/5 that his name was entered into Idaho State Police Lab for a name tab. So I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to see where this is going to lead. Okay. Then report 9. Woo! Whoa, look at all this. Boom, 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 boom. Look at all these subjects. And then look at, oh, wow. Oh, shit. Okay. Report 9. Woo! What's going on here? Wait, what the hell? The K-bar's back with us? Item 1, K-bar. Wait, we have a new. Wait, we're going to test the K-bar again? Boom! Look at that. Holy shit. What the hell's going on here? Why are we. Did you guys know this? Of course you didn't, but now you do. The K-bar back for round 2. For what? Well, let's find out. The K-bar. Holy shit. I didn't know this. Did you guys know this? Did you guys know that the K-bar went for round 2? Sure the fuck didn't. Until I got all this in my hands. Right here is where they did not redact. And so that's how I was able to know what this item was. Shh. So smart. Anyways. Item 1, K-bar, but here they're going to add 1.5, which is now a swab of the inside surface of the blade portion. So it's where you stick the blade in. Then item 37, okay, is the submitted swabs from Jack Decor. His apartment, and those are when I'm saying that that's not his DNA, it's the two blood, the presumptive blood in the kitchen. Okay, and that's going to be your 31.1. Right there, the south entry hallway, and then your 37.2 is in the west kitchen wall. Okay, they got this on 11/18 is when they got 37 rather. Remember, we just went over this. I was like, wait a second, they were over there. Why are you talking about this? Blah blah blah. That's all right. Okay, so item 38 is submitted swabs agencies. Item 20 or 264. So you would go and you would see what item 264 is and 261 is, right? Lana, do you have that? Sure do, guys. Don't worry, I'm here to help. Don't worry, I'm here to help. You're gonna be fine. Here we go. Well, Lana, what's 261? Don't be rushing me. I'm Italian. Okay, well, here it is. This is what it is. Item 261. Blood swab. Well, when was it collected? On 11/23, guys. Oh, what happened on that day? Where were they? Well, that's when they were at Jack Showalter's. Wait, what? Yeah. Jack Showalter's. So item 261 and item 264, both of those items were collected on 11/23/2022. So 11/23 is for item 38 and 39. Item 40, Lana, what's that? Oh my God, that's the glove. Yep. 40.1, 40.2, 40.3, 40.4. That's all. Now they're going to take the swab stain of the palm, swab stain of the palm under pinky finger, swab of the stain on the ring finger, and the swabs of the inside of the black polar penguin glove. But what else are they going to be doing? Well, then they take all the reference oral swabs. What? Yes. Anybody that turned in up to that point, so anything that would have been turned in, again, item 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. Shoop. 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. Okay, plus they have the cigarette butts, whoever that is, they got his DNA in there now. So they don't have to that's not a new item. Okay, so what'd they do? Then what'd they do? Well, they said the conclusion and interpretations is as follows. Results from presumptive chemical tests performed on items 38, 39, 40 indicate the presence of blood. So there's blood on the glove. There's blood on item 38 and 39, which are, let me turn back. 38, 39. That's from Jack Showalter's apartment. Potentially. Okay, what else you got? Well, the items 37.1, 37.2, and 41 through 50 were examined only for the purpose of sampling for DNA analysis. Okay. Okay, they were only sampled for the DNA analysis. Okay. Well, items 41.1, 40, so this is all with the glove right here. These 3 areas of the glove. And a portion of items 1.5. Ooh, that's the sheath. That's that new portion. And then this. They were forwarded for DNA analysis. Results will follow in a separate report. I'm like, are you kidding me? What do you mean? What's going on here? Right? What the fuck's going on here? What do you mean? You were able to, so what's going on here? Right? So here we are. We're going to have to hang on to see what happens from here. I mean, they're just not giving us the results. All the remaining items, by the way, have been returned to the main laboratory evidence vault, pending the DNA analysis. Okay, so I'm like, okay, we're hanging on. Report 9 is what I first started with. And so that's when it's saying that, hey, you're going to go get, there was no testing done with report 9. It was actually just going there to do another round of going and taking those 61 samples and then not writing up that report, going at the latents and not writing up that report until August. That's report 9. So I've already said that one. So now here it's 10. Okay, 10. Date evidence accepted, 11/21. Well, what is this for? Well, we took latent prints L1, L2, and L6 were previously captured digitally. Remember, we're going to come back to this. Here's where we're coming back to it. Items 25, 26, 27, 28, those are the victims. Now, item 32, those are 3 latent lift cards from L1 and 3 latent lift cards of L2. Okay, what do you got? Well, INCL in the table above indicates that the comparison is inconclusive to the available exemplars. The inconclusive results is due to a lack of quantity/quality of detail in the latent print. No prints were found on file 4, and then it redacts all these people's names. Comparisons to these persons as well as blank will be conducted upon receipt of a quality set of fingerprints. Latent prints were marked and previously preserved, blah, blah, blah. Items, blah, return. Okay. When was this written? The report was written on, as you can see, right there, 12/9. You notice how after Brian Kober's name was written into the database on 12/5? Isn't it kind of weird that, wow, they just refuse to pump out any results, don't they? You got to keep coming back to get your results, right? You just got to keep on coming back. Well, I caught a little boo-boo because I was determined to dig and find something. So on that 12/5, the same day that they put, or potentially the same day they put Brian Culver's names in the tabs, from 11/28 to 12/5, that's when it was written in. Ready for this? Oh, let's take that K-bar knife sheath back out, baby. Let's go ahead and take another look at that K-bar knife sheath. Wait, what, Lana? Yeah, you know they wanted to go second round with that fucking sheath. Why? You already got DNA, you already got male A, and then you have another unknown male on it. Okay? What are you doing? Why do you want to take it out again? Save 11/28 to 12/5 is when his name was written in on tabs. Well, hey, take that fucking, give me that sheath. 5-inch deep of blade portion. They swabbed it using 2 swabs to swab the inside of the surface because they thought the knife that was used in a previous murder, potentially then stuck back in the sheath. And if you go swabbing inside, that's the only thing that would make sense. But guess what? I think that they destroyed it by when they went and spraying it with whatever. Next, item 37, again, 1127 King Road, apartment 1. And that's the 2 swabs from entry hallway of the kitchen. Again, saying where They got to look at the date of the analysis was on 12/2. So that's just telling us, that's just all this is just a synopsis of what they did, and we don't have the results yet. Now, this is why when you look at these photos of the sheath, the second go round on 12/5, that's why, look at how much darker this shit is. Because it was sprayed and shit. Okay? And that's what they swabbed in there. Polar penguin. Look at all that. That's all blood. They swabbed the inside right there, that cuff on the inside. All right. There's all blood in between and all in the inside of the pointer finger, thumb, and the inside all here with the pinky. Okay. Look at all this. This was laying right by where Molly pulled up her vehicle when she first got there. This was found in the exact location where Molly's vehicle was. Molly's vehicle said she pulled up, the first time when she couldn't find the numbers. Yeah. Yeah, Molly. Let's talk about that. Molly. Let's talk about where this glove was found. Right next to the garbage cans, right? That's right where Molly pulled up the first time. And then when she supposedly says that she's leaving and how she does it, she cuts right up and does a little catty corner. And then where she gets out in the middle of the driveway to run and put the food, again, that's where Payne says the glove was. So in the two locations that the glove can either be in the middle of the driveway right there or off by where the garbage can are the two spots that frickin' Molly puts her vehicle at. Unbelievable. Blood all over this motherfucking glove. Now, report 10. Tell me we got a winner here. Tell me this is going to tell us why Ann Taylor lost her shit. Well, let's take a look. Conclusions and interpretations. This is from evidence that was collected on 11/21. Latent prints were examined by comparable ridge detail. Latent print L6. Remember I told you they were going ham for L5 and L6. Latent print L6 is of value for comparison. Latent print L6 is not suitable for multiple modal biometric identification system, so it's MBIS inquiry. Latent print L1 and L2 do not contain a sufficient amount of clear ridge detail necessary for comparison. Latent print L6 was analyzed and compared to the known exemplars bearing the names, and INCL in the table above indicates that the comparison is inconclusive to the available exemplars. So, inconclusive. The inconclusive result is due to a lack of quality/quantity of detail in the latent print, the one that they picked up from the scene. No prints were found on file for any of these people that you are trying to compare anything to. Comparison to these persons as well as redacted will be conducted upon receipt of quality set of footprints. Not footprints, but set of fingerprints. So this is about the latents, okay? When was this wrote up? Well, this was wrote up. I declare under penalty of perjury pursuant to the law of the state of Idaho that the foregoing is true and accurate. Why is that redacted? because they all are, Lana. There you go. 12-9. All right. Tell me that report report 11. Yes, tell me that we got something on report 11. Yeah, we did. We did. Report 11 is what I read off to you guys. These are the notes from it. Want to let everybody know that this is how bad they are at telling stories. Dog was on Kaylee's bed. Sliding door gets left open for dog. That is the exact opposite of what Bethany Funk told the police on 11/16. In fact, she says, no, we do not leave the door open for the dog. The dog is never on a leash. And Kaylee has some button that she presses to like buzz the dog if the dog tries to like go anywhere. Then Blaker says, oh, so it's like an electric fence. And she's like, no, we don't have like a fence like that's around it. It just buzzes the dog. Oh, okay. So, but you don't leave the door open for like the dog to just go and come? No, never. So look at the notes from Talbot telling, he was at the briefing on 11/17. How in the fuck do you have this down in your written notes? Sliding door gets left open for dog. No, it doesn't. That's how good their telephone game is. Then one of the victims mentioned a flash with a light, and then hey, making a note here that the vacant bedroom that's downstairs, it's Sensi light in the vacant room. It's broken. Stellar. I'm going to come back and do this on a private live because I'm not going to talk about anything that's in this report. But when we get to, okay, right here, first floor windows. Every single window in the house except for Bethany's and Dylan's were unlocked. Bethany and Dylan's, if you go and you highlight through, unlocked, locked, see, unlocked. When you go through all of them, locked, unlocked, unlocked, locked, unlocked, unlocked. See this? One lock here and one lock here. And that is the bedroom on the north wall of the first floor. And that's the bedroom on the second floor, which is the east bedroom, which is Dylan's. Locked. Everything else, unlocked. Again, I went through all this stuff. I will be discussing that on a different live. Okay. Now for my final bang. And it is in report. I want to show you. This is just to show report 12. I think that says. Everything in report 12 documents the loops that they went through to try to get these prints to be to find a match. They went through California database. They went, and this is all it does. Defense. I mean, all the different avenues they went for Leighton L5. Okay. Report 13. This is when we get our answer. Item 23, 24. Item 40. Item 37. Finally, here we go. swabs from the inside of the glove. So that's all the stuff with 40. Then all of these subjects that they tested, the banister, unknown, the glove. So here we go. The results. DNA analysis employing was used to generate a STR profile for items 23, 29, and everything I just told you. What those items were. All of these names, everything that's listed there, all the names of all those subjects are not the source of the unknown male A, the DNA profile previously obtained from item 1.1. Okay. See report number 4 issued on 11/20. That's 1.1 is from the sheath. And then the DNA profile previously obtained from the item, the other part of the sheath. This is the unknown male. Indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile. Assuming a 2-person mixture, all those names in the subject line are excluded as being contributors to the DNA mixture. You see how these are 2 separate, okay? 1.1 and 1.4. The 1.1 is the unknown male A. The mixture with the main contributor being Kaylee, which is a male, okay, because there's male that's mixed with it. That unknown male profile that's mixed with Kaylee is not Brian Koberger's, okay? And here, all these people that were tested are excluded. Now, the DNA profile previously obtained from item 6.1, see report number 7, indicates a mixture of DNA. Assuming a 2-person mixture, this is the fingernails. All of these people are excluded as being contributors to this DNA underneath the fingernails. Maddie's. The DNA profile previously obtained from item 9.1, again, somebody else's, maybe it's Xana's, indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile. Assuming a 2-person mixture, all those people that were listed as the subjects in that right here indicates excluded. The DNA profile previously obtained from item 9.1. Again, all those people excluded. 10.1. All those people excluded. The DNA 13.1, this is Kaylee's. Or, I'm sorry, this one's Maddie's. The other 4 were, the other 3 were Ethan, Xana, Kaylee. And so here, this one's Maddie's. And this is where they get these likely ratios that they used. Okay, so look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of those is Brian Koberger's, right? I said to myself, why would they ever be redacting Brian's name, though? But what we need to go and double check here is one of these numbers is actually the same number that was assigned to Brian Koberger. Remember, everybody's been telling you that, well, why would they redact it if it was really Brian's name? Because they're not redacting his name in any of the reports. Well, I wrote in and I'm challenging them on this. I think that it is redacted for the purpose of, well, it's going to cause a big freaking shitstorm, right? So we're just going to double check and see, but or if it's not there, it's because his name's put in, but there's no DNA that's assigned to his name yet. Okay, so we're again, I want clarification on that. So that's where this is. Now, here's your bomb, and this is where we end. Why Ann Taylor said multiple perpetrators. Okay. The DNA profile obtained from item 23 indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile, which matches that previously obtained from the known reference sample of Kaylee Gonsalves. So this is the 23. And everyone should be saying, Lana, can you remind us where 23 is? I never thought you guys would ask. Sure can. Say it ain't so. Okay. $23. Up on that wall, half wall. So the DNA profile obtained from the item 23 indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile which matches that previously obtained from the known reference sample of Kaylee. See item 14, report number 4, issued on 11/20/2022. And that's where they get her DNA card, okay, from the autopsy. Assuming a 2-person mixture, this DNA profile is at least 723 septillion times more likely to be seen if it were the result of a mixture of DNA from Kaylee and an unrelated, randomly selected individual than if it resulted from 2 unrelated individuals randomly from the general population. So what that means is that this mixed sample that's on the half wall is Kaylee's in an unknown person. Okay. Now, the unknown person, you're going to see here. Next is Maddie. See item 11, which is her DNA card. Okay. Maddie is a potential contributor to the minor component of this mixture. Assuming a 2-person mixture, in quotes, his DNA profile is at least 114 septillion times more likely to be seen if it were the result of a mixture of DNA from Maddie and an unrelated, randomly selected individual than if it resulted from 2 unrelated individuals randomly selected from the general population. Ethan Chapin, Xana. So his is item 5, hers is item 8. And remember back in the beginning of, remember I told you 1 through 20 is like all of their items, okay? It's their DNA extracts, okay? And then all of these unredacted, they are excluded as contributors to this mixture. Again, this is item 23. Now, the DNA profile obtained from item 24. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. The DNA profile obtained from item 24 matches that previously obtained from the known reference sample of Maddie. This DNA profile is at least 25.6 octillion times more likely to be seen if Maddie Mogan is a source than an unrelated individual randomly selected from the general population is the source. Item 30. Item 30. The DNA profile obtained from item 30. It's on the handrail, the banister. The DNA profile obtained from item 30 indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile, which was determined to be from an unknown male B. Okay? Male B. So you have male A. So when they're doing this, when they're doing their job, they have male A as the unknown sheath, then what they assign as male B. Okay, they don't give the sheath any credit with 1.4 to say, hey, there's that mixture and it's a male. They don't talk about that. Okay. They go to say, hey, what we're going to list as unknown male B, okay, is the DNA profile obtained from item 30 indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile, which was determined to be from an unknown male, which is male B. And this is when Antil lost her shit. If this is a mixture and you are still going to go ahead and say that this is unknown male B, if the sheath was a mixture, why aren't you labeling unknown male B to be 1.4? If it doesn't matter. You can prove that there's a male component to it. Why wouldn't that not be listed as unknown male B? You guys get it? This is where Ann Taylor was saying, if your argument is going to be that we didn't list that to say, hey, there's an unknown male B here. You guys did nothing to try to go and figure out who that was, right? In terms of what you did with A. Okay. Well, here on the banister that you obtained on 11/19, and you just kept pushing off because you just kept saying ridiculous shit, right? You're labeling it as unknown male B, but it's a mixture. So here, assuming a 3-person mixture, 2 additional unknown individuals are potentially contributors to the minor profile. Due to the low-level results and limited data, no conclusions can be made regarding the minor contributors. But Ethan and then all these people are not the source of the major male DNA profile from this item. And it's like, wait, what? So, item 30, unknown male DNA. And if it was mixed with 2, this is blood. Blood. Unknown male B is blood on the banister. But Ethan Chapin and whoever they're redacting are not the source of the major male DNA profile. All those people, plus Ethan, not him. Then, the DNA profile obtained from item 31.1 indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile, which matches that previously obtained from the known reference sample of Ethan. 31.1. Now, one should be asking, where is 31.1? Submitted swab of the stain on the bottom of the handrail was 30. 31. Submitted swabs of the stain on the half wall. Submitted swab of the stain on the edge of the half wall. 31.1. So the DNA profile obtained from item 31.1 indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile which matches that previously obtained from the known Ethan. So Ethan's the major contributor. Assuming a 2-person mixture, this DNA profile is at least 968 octillion times more likely to be seen if it were the result of a mixture of DNA from Ethan and an unrelated, randomly selected individual than if it resulted from two unrelated individuals. So what this is basically saying, the first part is that that's Ethan mixed with somebody, okay, versus just two random people, okay? The DNA profiles obtained from items 37.1 and 37.2 were determined to be from the same unknown male, male C. Ethan Chapin and all these people are not the source of the DNA profiles from these items. The DNA profiles obtained from items 38 and 39 match that previously obtained from the known reference sample of blank. This DNA profile is at least whatever, how many times more likely to be seen if John Showalter, okay? Look at Lanny, you found another, okay? 38 and 39. So the DNA profiles obtained, and you know when they got those items 38 and 39? When they went to his apartment. Okay? Those are his apartment on the 23rd when they had that search warrant on 11/28 and 11/23. So the partial DNA profile obtained from item 40.1 was determined to be from an unknown male, male D. So male C, the DNA profile obtained from the items 31. So there's unknown male C DNA on the half wall. That's blood. That is motherfucking blood. This is blood. And then they're just going in order with their numbers. So 38 and 39, when they tested what the blood was in his apartment, in John Showalter's apartment, it was his own blood. So there you go. So for the person that's spreading the news and spreading the misinformation that John Showalter, which is John Showalter, his DNA is not found in the house. So please stop saying that. Okay. That's just from the item. The two areas that were tested in his personal apartment on 11/23 when they went and did all that. If you are saying it any other way, you are wrong. Now the glove. The partial DNA profile obtained from item 40.1. Now, I think it's hilarious that they are calling this the partial DNA profile obtained from 40.1, which is a portion of the glove that they swabbed, was determined to be from an unknown male, male D. And guess what? Ethan, nor none of these people right here that were the subjects, they are not the source of that DNA profile for this item. The partial DNA profile obtained from 40.4 indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile. Assuming a two-person mixture, a second unknown individual is a potential contributor to the minor profile. The same unknown male D from item 41 or 40.1 is a potential contributor to the major DNA profile. Due to the low-level results and limited data, no conclusions can be made regarding the minor contributor. And I think that the Ann Taylor was going to eat this shit up right here. We see the glove. Okay. The glove is rocking with blood. This is just not a little drop. It's fucking all over. All over. So let me reread this for you guys, which is when you're looking at the glove, there's different parts that they did the swabbing. So there's parts that they did like between the thumb and the pointer. Then they did between like the palm. Then they did on the top of the glove. Then they did like around when you put the glove on. And then they did the pinky area. Okay. So the partial DNA profile obtained from item 40.1 was determined to be from an unknown male, male D. So they were able to get an unknown male, male D, just like they were able to get from the B and the C, which is the banister and the wall. Okay. The partial, so this glove here, the partial DNA profile obtained from item 40.4 indicates a mixture of DNA. So the major profile with so one of them's a major profile and then the other one would be a minor profile. Assuming a two-person mixture, a second unknown individual is a potential contributor to the minor profile. So this would mean that what's mixed with the glove, the person's blood that's with the glove, the major contributor is an unknown, and then the minor would not be anybody like the victims or anybody else. That would be an unknown as well. Due to the low-level results and limited data, no conclusions can be made regarding the minor contributor. And that this is what I would question and see if there can be actually something that pops from that. Because what that actually tells us is that it could it be one of the victims? What are you saying here? It's saying that you can't, you get what I'm saying? So the partial DNA profile obtained from item 1.5, which is when they took the sheath out and decided to go ahead and test it again, indicates a mixture of DNA from two individuals. What? Dude. Bomb. What the hell's going on here? Ready. The partial DNA profile obtained from item 1.5, which is the sheath. The inside where you're sticking the knife in. That inside. It indicates a mixture of DNA from two individuals. Due to the low-level results and limited data, no comparisons can be made. They said they couldn't compare it, though. What? Again, I would love to hear this being broken down in trial. Due to insufficient quantity or, now say this word to somebody that works really well with degraded DNA. So due to insufficient quality or the degradation, only a partial DNA profile consisting of two alleles was contained from item 40.2, which is a portion of the glove. Due to the low-level results and limited data, no conclusions can be made. Guess what? There is so much more left on the glove. Go get it. You just took a little swipe. Go get a ton more. What are you doing? I totally disagree. And then they say due to insufficient quantity or degradation, only a partial DNA profile consisting of a single allele was obtained from 29.1. Due to insufficient quantity, only a partial DNA profile consisting of a single allele, 40.3. You guys, that they're saying that glove, like bullshit. No way. No way. I showed you the picture of this glove. This glove is like lit up. There's blood all over it. There was no efforts made to do anything. Then, due to insufficient quantity, no DNA profile was obtained from item 29.3. DNA extraction and quantification employing real-time PCR were performed on item 29.2. No DNA was detected on item 29.2. No further testing was conducted on this item. And 29.2 is your submitted swab of hand marks on outside of south kitchen window. Then we come back down here. The major unknown male, male B, okay, DNA profile obtained from item 30. again, which was item 30, submitted swab of a stain on the bottom of the handrail. How does something get on the bottom? We want to talk about gravity droplets, okay? So the major unknown male, male B, DNA profile obtained from the item 30. The unknown male, male C, DNA profile obtained from item 37.1. And the partial unknown male, male D, DNA profile obtained from the glove, are not eligible for entry into the CODIS system. Further interpretation may be performed upon submission of a known reference sample from any additional relevant individuals. You see that? 12/17/2022. They kept pushing this date to like do all this shit, pushing this date. Remember when I was like, hey, we're going to have to go to this report. Hey, we're going to have to keep going so we can get these results, okay? Dude. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Report 14. These are all new subjects that they went and got DNA so they can, submit it. And then this is when they went back into the house to get the beer cans and the backpack and as you can see, all this stuff with the beer can on the vanity. You guys, this was guess whose room? Bethany's. Item 69, beer can number 2 on the vanity of Bethany's room. Item 69.1, swab of the lid area on beer can number 2 from the vanity. Results from presumptive chemical tests for the presence of blood were negative. No shit. Why would you even fucking do it? There's no... Whatever. Items 68 and 69 were visually examined. Look at that. Were visually examined. This is when Ann Taylor said, wait, what? And she said, and that's where Rylene is like, you can't visually examine anything. Like, that's not how we do things. Remember this? We don't do things like that. Oh, well, we can do it if we've seen somebody discard something. And that's when Ann Taylor's like, oh my God, I got you even again. I got you twice here, Rylene. So Ann Taylor's over here losing her shit, right? Losing her shit because she's like, wait, what do you mean? You can't she's like, it's in your report. Items 68 and 69 were, look at this. Visually examined. No stains consistent with blood were observed. No, it's the same thing with 66 and 67. There was no blood there. Anyways, items 66, 67, 68, 69 were swabbed for DNA. Item 67.1 was sampled for DNA collection. Items 57 through 65, again, this is all Bethany's room, were examined only for the purpose of sampling for DNA analysis. A portion of item 57 through 65, 66.1, was forwarded for DNA analysis. Results will follow in a separate report. Why? Item 68, 66, 68, and 69 were left in the custody of the forensic team. Tina, pending late. So again, they're being left with, she's going to be doing now the latent prints. So we don't know. 1123 here, wrote up this report on 1123. Oh. All this shit. Do you guys understand that this would mean that nobody's coughing up or nobody's asking the question, which is, who's the Jan book bag belong to? If you ask that question to somebody, right, they know their house here. Was this in here when you went to bed? Yes or no? You know what's great is that none of Molly's friends were tested for their DNA, were they? Shit, was Molly's DNA tested? No. Report 15. Date evidence accepted, 12/13. Keystone Light can. Keystone Light, here we go. What do we got? What's the results? Items 68, 68, 69 were processed for latent prints. Items 66, 68, 69 latent prints were observed or developed. Latent prints, all these things have been forwarded for comparison. Results will follow in a separate report. Why? 33 latent prints were marked and preserved. Digital images are being retained by ISP Forensic Services. 18 latent lift cards were generated and retained in an impression evidence packet. The IEP will be sent to the submitting agency upon completion of the comparison portion of the examination. Written on 12/23/2022. Well, why do you think that they're not going to be writing anything about that? Because of Brian Kohlberger. Then 16 here. All the items from, ready? All the items from the trash pull. Ann Taylor loses her shit. Why? Because right here, all this shit. Conclusion. Results from presumptive chemical tests performed on item 83 indicated the presence of blood. 83. Item 79, all those items were examined for only the purpose of sampling for DNA analysis. These items were swabbed for DNA collection. These items were visually examined. Again, she loses her shit. Visually examined. However, no further analysis was performed. Visually examined for what? What are you visually examining? What are you doing? Okay, and then these items were not even examined. So when you go through all that, items, all of that were forwarded for DNA analysis. Results will follow in a separate report. Remaining items have been returned to the main laboratory evidence vault pending DNA analysis. Okay, well, remember, we have to get all this stuff. Like, where's the report that says, hey, right? What is this? Hey, what's the date? Oh, boom. So the report that was written on 12/28/2022 did not tell them that this was Brian Kohlberger's dad. Is that what this is? This is what the report. Huh. Okay, well then what's this report say? Item 17. I don't know. Let's see. Item 17. Date evidence accepted. 12/28. Oh, again. All these items. What are we doing with them? Remember, we're going to get there's going to be another report. Maybe because this woman here said, I ain't fucking writing this shit up. You guys can do this shit. I don't know. Well, here she says that the DNA employing blah, blah, blah was used. And we were able to make, the STR profile from all these items. The DNA profile obtained from item 87.1 was determined to be from an unknown male E. Okay. Now, this is so fucking crazy. Male E is not the source of DNA previously obtained from item 1.1. Normally what you would have to do right there, what you're supposed to do, is that's all that it would say. But here, based upon evaluation of the DNA profile obtained from item 87, male E, and that previously obtained from item 1.1. Now, this is why Ann Taylor was like, what the hell are you doing when you would read these? Why would you take male E and only compare it to male A? Okay. So obtained from, male A. Male E cannot be excluded as being the biological father of male A. What do you mean can't be excluded? What test did you do? How do you know this? The single parentage index Philokai examined is 19,070, all these numbers. So Tara Martinez was going to be questioned as to who gave you the command to say, hey, that item, that DNA that you got, we want you to run a paternity test. We want you to run a paternity test. Who told, that's the type of question that's coming is, why the hell would you as a lab, that's not what you do in the lab. That's not what happens. You're there to hear. Now, why are you derailing yourself? In your report, you write this. Why? Why would you even be? What were you told? Who said, hey, now that you've developed a profile, just so from those items, you had all these other things to test. Why weren't you interested in, item 74 or 32 or from the trash pull, basically? Do you understand that none of this makes sense to the point of when I'm saying you would have had to have specific directions, and where were those directions and who was giving you those orders? Oh, wait, that's right. You guys stopped communicating via email, via anything. Everything was all over the phone. Nothing was to be written down in this case because it's discoverable. That's absolutely fucking wild. Why aren't you seeing if male E matched the mixture with the victim's blood? What about unknown male B, C, D? Now ready? It gets better. For some reason, she did a paternity test. She did something. The DNA profile obtained from item 89.1 was determined to be a mixture of two individuals with a major female profile. This profile was not used for comparisons. The partial DNA profile obtained from item 93.1 is consistent with male E. The DNA profile obtained from item 95.9.1 was determined to be a mixture of two individuals with a major male profile. This profile was not used for comparison. Why? Guess who was mixed with it? Brian's DNA is in there. If it's a mixture, is it a mixture with guy girl? I mean, you would know if it was just all male, right? Due to insufficient quantity or degradation, only a partial DNA profile consisting of 3 alleles was contained from item 96.1. DNA extracts and quantifications employing real was performed on all those items. A low level of male DNA A was detected on item 81.1. However, due to a high level of female DNA detected, no further testing was conducted on this item. So they were not even concerned with whose this could be, right? Because Ann Taylor's questions are, how do you know what you're looking for? Okay, how do you know, okay, as the lab person, hey, so who did you communicate? Hey, they just dump off all of this trash and they want you to go through it, right? And you're going to pick out and, you're going to swab, do whatever. And what you're only looking for men? You know what I mean? Like, what you would just have to start creating these profiles. But nobody saw anybody pick up this trash. Or no, not pick it up, but dispose of the trash. So you have you don't know who they belong to. Because all you're going to be doing is comparing the DNA that you're making here off of these profiles. You'd be what's going to be your comparison, which is going to be male, unknown male A, B, C, and D. And when you would have been comparing all of this stuff, it would have been like, no, these aren't a match. That's it. Then you would have had to have another conversation to say, okay, well, can you look at any of those? What if you did a paternity test and to see if that's the dad of A? Why wouldn't you ask if it could be the dad of B, C, D? And the answer is, well, because we know what we're looking for, right? But the point is that the lab people didn't. And they would have had to been instructed on what to do and what not to do. And that's what Anne was going to get these people to testify to. You cannot say that no instructions were given. Do you understand that? You can't say that. No instructions. I had no idea what I was doing. Then all of a sudden I just decide. So the whole time during this whole case, you weren't looking for people's dads, were you? No. And so somehow, some way, all these other things that we're taking all this time, same day it gets into the lab, same day you get your hands on it, right? All these items that you had to sort out and sort through and what you were going to do, 79.1 through 97. And then all the ones that were on the previous report, all these. Then what happens? Well, then remember that Ziploc bag with trace of blue powder? Remember that? Okay, well, we have a problem here. When they collected, how did they collect the powder? So Ann Nord was on the Ann's witness list. Okay, Ann Nord. You guys, ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. This was collected on 12/23/2022. It just sat at that house. Just sat there. They're asking all of these witnesses about goddamn drugs. And they don't pick up and bring to the lab to see what the fuck could have been potentially in that. And when it was collected, it never said it was collected in a Ziploc bag with trace of blue powder. Okay, ready? So I want to know where this Ziploc bag with trace of blue powder came from versus, because that's what they tested, versus saying that, is that how they would normally word it? Because you would want to be talking about the fact, just to make sure everybody's on the same page here, is that was also the same product that was on the desk in Xana's room, right? Or was there another plastic baggie that there was a plastic baggie somewhere, and then there were, because ready for this is really, really important. And the reason it's really, really important is because Adderall comes in pills. You do not chop up Adderall until you're actually going to do it. Like, you don't chop up your Adderall, all right, and take your fucking 30 or 30 pills that you get a month or however many you get or wherever you get them from, and you don't chop them all up, crush them all up, and then put your Adderall in a baggie. Okay? No. You have your Adderall pills in your pill bottle that's prescribed to you. Okay? And then what you would do, let's even say that you got Adderall from somebody because, hey, they have a prescription, so you got it from a friend, whatever. Happens all the time. I got finals coming up. Let me get, whatever. Or you want to party and you want to stay up all night. When you're given the pills, though, they're in pill form. Nobody's giving you, oh, here, you can have some of my Adderall and it's crushed up for you. Okay? What the fuck? That is absolutely that's not happening. You then, when you are going to decide to do it, normally people can just like put it in their mouth. Well, here, if you're going to chop up Adderall, you would do it. You would take your pill out of whatever it would be in. Okay. Take it out of the bag that it's in, and you would put it on your counter or your fucking mirror, whatever the hell you're going to do to chop, where you're going to chop it with your ID card that was laying out on that desk. And that's where you're chopping it all up, right? And then if you want to just fucking blow lines of Adderall, I can tell you that you're not going to fall asleep for a long time. Okay? But what I can also tell you is that you're not going to find a Ziploc baggie with fucking blue Ziploc bag with blue traces of blue powder in it. Okay? That's just not going to be how it's going to be. Like, who do you think we are? I'm sorry, but I'm not. No. Whatever you're holding your pills in is just going to have your pills. There's going to be no crumbs of your pills. Okay? So I'm curious of this whole situation of this item 71, and we're only concerned about this right now. And I'm telling you, the shit was not on the desk in a Ziploc baggie. And if it was, and it was crushed up in a Ziploc baggie, then it's not Adderall. It's fucking not Adderall. I can promise you that. If it's already chopped up, it's fucking not Adderall. Now, what it says that it is over here, conclusions and interpretations, is that it was an amphetamine. Methamphetamine. Okay, you guys ever heard that term? Methamphetamine? It's not going to say meth before this, but your conclusions and interpretations with your amphetamine controlled 2. I just want to know why they waited so long to test the Adderall, the chopped up blue shit. And let me tell you something, the blue pills, if you did get Adderall, you're dealing with like fucking 10s, man. Blue pills are like 5s and 10s. If it's blue, if it's orange, pink, then you're dealing with 20s and 30s. Okay. But I can promise you that you're not walking around campus with your little plastic baggie of Adderall already fucking crushed. That's not what you do. Sorry. And I can promise you, if you're buying it, you're leaving it in pill form until each time that you want to take an Adderall. You either, geez, and to crush Adderall, dude, it hits just perfectly fine in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Someone that's crushing up and snorting Adderall, okay, they need it to hit quick. And then that reminds me of what Dave was telling us about those freaking, Molly balls or whatever the fuck he's talking about. Go back and listen to that. So here, this Ziploc bag with trace of blue powder. Hey, conclusions, it's an amphetamine. Thank you. But what's more telling is that you didn't care to do anything with it. Until the day that you arrest Brian Kober. Why were you staying away from the drug? Why are you staying away from something that literally has Molly McMichael's name written all over it, that has the potential link of Brian Kober, who is a known drug addict, okay? Somebody who wants to work with the police, with the police. Oh, hey, I'd be a great person to do undercover buys for you because I used to be a fucking addict, okay? I can help you guys out. Let me do some controlled buys. Well, wouldn't that be an interesting concept that Brian looks like he's stalking people and in certain areas and at night and wherever? Well, God, wouldn't that be interesting if he was doing that because he's given Pullman Police Department, hey, yeah, they gave me this and I sold it and all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. Think about it. Think about it. You would have tested this in a heartbeat. You're just going to take the word, oh, that's just Adderall crushed up and rolled up. And they just like to snort Adderall when they're drinking. Well, then you know how much you can drink when you're taking Adderall? Your tolerance goes out the roof. So if you're drinking and you think people are going to get buzzed and be hammered, dude, your tolerance is insane. So then that tells me that if Ethan and Xana were doing the Adderall, I will then call even more bullshit on the fact that they were not coherent. Especially, I don't care what's in there. I don't care if they have this ridiculous blood alcohol content. If this is in their system, yeah. You can drink like a champ on Adderall. Again, it's right there in black and white. It's an amphetamine. That's what it was. So you can either pick Adderall or potentially methamphetamine. That's what I think. You got one of those two options. Next. Oh, digital image of L5 and L6. Those are those latents, The date the evidence was accepted, 12/5. The 11/28 and 12/5. Brian Kober's name. Remember we would eventually hear about this, supposedly. Well, L5 and L6 excluded. What are they being excluded from though? Or inconclusive? Well, because latent prints were marked and preserved, but guess what? Excluded in the table above indicates that the latent print is excluded to the exemplars used. So at that point, whatever's in at that point, it's being excluded. Item 57 through 65. Remember the swab of the beer, the lids? I remember said that we're going to finally get back to this. Well, the DNA profile previously obtained from item 1.4, which was the sheath, indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile. Assuming a two-person mixture, male E is excluded as a contributor to this DNA mixture. Why in the world? So here, right? This is when it was like, why are you? So like that mixture. So 1.1, it's not it. And now 1.4, it's not it. Then the DNA profile previously obtained from item 6.1, male E is excluded. And it's like, wait, what the hell is going on here, right? Why are we writing all of this stuff here when what's written down is that we're talking about these samples? And this is like the lid from the beer can. Why are we talking about, why is any of, in report 20, why is any of this here? Shouldn't this be with where what's her tits was talking about on 11/28? And also this is talking about evidence that was collected on 12/13/2022 and 12/28/2022. Okay. This is all the fingernails. 9.1, 10.1, 13.1, all the fingernails. 6.1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Male E, out. Except, hang tight. Based on the likelihood ratio, though, it is inconclusive whether male E is a potential contributor to this DNA profile. That's when they were doing the likely ratio for 13, because that was Maddie's. The DNA that was 23 was the wall, the half wall. It's assuming a two-person mixture. Male E is excluded as a contributor to the DNA mixture. So if so male E here is excluded from the wall. 30. Okay. My question would be is, if male E is excluded from the wall, did you say, oh, maybe we should check male E's biological son? So the DNA profile previously obtained from item 30, which was on 12/17, indicates a mixture of DNA assumed to be from 3 individuals with a major profile. Male E is not the source of the major male DNA profile because 30 had 2 minors with the big major. Now 37.1 and 37.2 were determined to be from the same unknown male. Male E is not the source of that. Then why are you comparing? What are you doing? Why? Who just said, hey, we want to check male E against all of this shit? The partial DNA profile obtained from the glove from 40. See report 12/17 was determined to be from an unknown male. Well, male E is not the source of the DNA from the glove. Any parts of it, even assuming a 2-person mixture, male E is not the source of the male major component. Due to the low level results, we can't tell you if that's. No DNA testing was performed on items 57 through 65 and all the way through. And I said, wait a second, that's what this report was supposed to be about. Look at all this shit. Items 57 through 65. These are all anybody that had their DNA, who these swabs, right? Well, I said, well, what's this? No DNA testing was performed on items 57 through 65, 66.1, all this shit at this time. What? Then why the fuck did you put that in here? But the better question is what's this report for? When was it? Who did this? For what purpose? On January 10th, 2023, Taylor does it. And this is why Aunt Taylor was like, can't wait to ask Taylor why, who, basically it's going to come down to this. 12/28, remember this? 12/28. And I said, wait a second, where's the results? I said, they wrote up a report and none of them are saying anything that on 12/28 that, hey, like, they said, wait, we have to wait for the testing results. We don't have anything or whatever, or we just collected the items. But then there was another report that came out and said, oh, 12/28, hey, we have the paternity. The paternity. So, and then they said, then somebody said, hey, I want you to go test male E, who they would have known is the whole purpose of all of this. Is this how sneaky they were trying to be? I don't know. This woman, though, Taylor, God, Taylor, please take our phone call. We just want to know what you were asked, why this was ever done. when was this asked to be done that we want you to go and take male E and test it against all of these unknowns? It's like, wouldn't you know that it does not match any of that other shit because it wouldn't be an unknown then? Wouldn't it just then be male E is actually not male E, it's male D, male C, male B, male, you get what I'm saying? If unknown male E gets the name unknown male E, it's because it's not D, C, or B. I mean, what the fuck? How fucking dense are you? I'm not dumb. This would be me raising my hand in class and saying, I have a question. Why would I ever be comparing the unknown male E against unknown male D, C, and B? Because I would never be naming it unknown male E if I already had a fucking profile for it. And this is when a teacher would say, you passed. She's the only person that fucking caught that. She passes. She passes. You don't even have to take the final, girl. Get on. I mean, nobody has that question. Nobody's over there like, hey, you guys, they only give unknown, that name unknown male, if it's truly an unknown. If when you would have tested something, right? And that's when Ann Taylor's like, well, male E, since it's an unknown male, right? And it didn't match any of your other unknowns. That's why you gave it unknown male E, right? So why the fuck are you testing unknown male E? Ready? Like, are you guys trying to get fired? The DNA profile previously obtained from item 23, see that, indicates a mixture of DNA with a major profile. Assuming a two-person mixture, male E is excluded as a contributor to this DNA mixture. No shit. No shit. How about this? Where's your A's? The glove. The partial DNA profile previously obtained from item 40 was determined to be from an unknown male. Male E is not the source of DNA profile from this item. No shit. Wow, blow my fucking tits off. If it was, it wouldn't be male E. It would be male D. Jesus Christ. You would have never. You guys, I gotta just stop. This is nonsense. This is absolute fucking trash. Okay. Moral of the story here is I'm going to give you guys a preview because I've kept you around for so long tonight. Who wants a preview of what's coming for Bethany in the morning? I know, don't get all excited on me. I'm going to play you something. Here you go. Tisk, tisk. Those of you guys that stuck around to get the biology, learn these hoes biology. Well, you like that? You like that? Like that little old school right there? There you go. Here's a sneak peek though. This is what's coming in the morning. Kept you guys here all day, I feel like.
let's see. So first question.
Hang tight. I'm trying to pull it up here.
Here. So myself, Sergeant Blake here with the Moss City Police Department, and then I have
Sergeant Matthew Webb
with the Nevada.
It's technically now Nevada State Police Investigation Division, commonly affectionately referred to as NDI. So
okay. And sorry about that. Is here with me with her attorney.
The transcriber at the time is approximately 11:55.
So there's a lot of different types of questions I'm going to be asking today. So I'm not here just to go back through another timeline again. Based off of our investigation, now we have some other things that we've kind of want to get some information on, and we're hoping that that's something that you can provide to us. Okay. So I'm actually going to start with those questions first, and then at the end we'll go back over your timeline a little bit better. Okay. All right. So let's see. The first question I have for you, just trying to get some ideas of the routine of the house. The front door code. How many people have that code?
I only know like 3 people that had it, and then all of us roommates.
Okay, so everyone that lived there?
Yes.
Okay. And how many people actually lived in the house?
That actually were like paying rent.
Were sleeping in the house?
Like every single night.
Pretty much.
Okay, so me, Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan.
Okay. What about that other downstairs bedroom? No one was living in that room? Okay. So all of you have the code and then 3 other people?
Yes.
Do you know who those 3 people were? You know last name? And what was the purpose of her having the code?
She's one of my best friends, so she was always coming over.
Okay. And who else had it? You spell her last name?
Don't worry, guys. Tomorrow's audio is way better.
Okay. And then just another friend or?
Yeah, one of my best friends.
Okay. And then who else had it?
And then
Was she your friend or was she your friend?
they're all of our friends.
Okay.
All of our friends.
All belong to the same sorority house?
And then I know actually 3 more people that
3 more? Okay.
So 6 people have the. She said 3 people have it. Now, actually 6 do.
Can you spell that?
And then
10 a.m. tomorrow morning, this kicks off.
And what was the reason for these three having it?
they're all like really good friends of all of ours.
So just really close people?
Yeah.
Is that pretty much the only people you gave it to?
That, to my knowledge, that's the only people that know it.
What was the, we clarify that, did you give them these,
No.
each of these people the codes?
No.
Okay. Any of the members of the house gave these individuals the code? Whether it was
Yes.
you, others.
One of them had to have given him the code.
When was the last time you guys changed it?
Never.
You've never changed
Well,
the code?
I moved in, me and Xana and Kaylee were all new to the house, but Maddie lived there the year before.
Okay.
And they didn't change it from the year before, but
And what was the code?
this, I believe.
Okay. And that's what you remember it being?
Mm.
Okay.
More of like a pattern than I see it. But that's how I remember it.
Okay.
I think that's the memory.
And you moved in when?
August 3rd-ish.
So at the start of the school year?
Yeah.
And that's when you, Xana or Xana?
Xana.
Xana. Ethan, and who was the other one who moved in at that time?
I don't know if Ethan was, I can't remember if Ethan was there at that time.
Did he actually live in the house, or did he have his own place?
He had his own place, but he stayed there anyway.
Where did he actually live, do you know?
It was an apartment by this one gas station. I don't really know the street or anything.
Do you remember the gas station?
Yeah, the 76er.
By the 76?
Yeah.
So that's on the opposite end of campus?
Mhm.
Remember it?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he live with anyone? Did he want to
It was
Just him?
Mhm.
Okay. And when did, you said Maddie was the one that was living in there prior?
Mhm.
So was she the only one who was currently in the house that had been in the house the year before?
Yes.
Okay. Did she switch rooms at all?
Mm-mm.
And her room was upstairs at the top of the stairs, right next to the bathroom?
Yes.
Okay. In your room, I know you lived on the very bottom floor,
Mhm.
and it was the one you went to the front door. Okay, so that's what we thought. Okay. What about Murphy's routine, the dog? Who took him out? How often did he go out? What was kind of the normal standard routine for taking him out?
I believe Kaylee mainly took him out. Maddie would sometimes take him out if Kaylee didn't want to. And she just kind of took him out whenever. Sometimes she would take him out through the back, but sometimes she would take him out through the front door. And then he'd just go out.
Did they ever use a leash with him, or did they just open the door and let him go?
She never used a leash, but she had like a little collar that would like buzz if he was like running away that she would put on sometimes.
Okay. So does she have like an exterior around the property?
No, it was just like a little, it might have been like
She
a little
could push.
shock or yeah, something like that.
Okay, so she had a handheld push button or something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. Would you guys ever leave the rear slider open so he could go in and out as he pleased?
No, because he would run away usually.
How was he? Was he a skittish dog? Was he friendly? Did he bark at anything that moved?
He was pretty friendly. He didn't bark that often, but he would bark sometimes. And I don't know, he's a good dog.
Okay.
But he was a puppy, so like not completely trained.
So he's not like some dogs where they're scared of their own shadow and they just bark and run and hide.
Yeah.
Anything. Did he always sleep in Kaylee's room?
Mhm.
Never wandered off down in one of your guys' rooms and Kaylee was
She always shut the door.
She always shut the door.
Or kept him in there when she was in there.
That is so telling, and I'll tell you why tomorrow. About that Murphy always slept in her room. If she's not home, Murphy's in there and the door is shut. When the cops come to the house that morning and they go upstairs, Kaylee's door wide open. Kaylee's door wide open.
So you've heard of, it sounds like a fairly routine Uber driver.
Yeah.
I used to drive either all of you from the house or mostly just Maddie and Kaylee. Can you explain who this guy is, how this relationship started, and everything like that?
I know Kaylee, I think, knew him from some of the.
All right, guys, come back and join me tomorrow, all 2 hours. It'll be live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for joining me tonight. Do me a favor, thumbs up the video or thumbs down the video. If you have an opinion, you should, because you're here, you watched it. Make yourself known. Also, those of you guys that had hit me in the PayPal or Cash App, I want to say thank you. And I'm not going to be doxing people, but Rebecca, Denise, Kiva, Liz, Dana, Sarah, Paul, Aaron, Catherine, Jenny, Mary, Jessica. I feel like I'm in a rap video. Thank you, as well as Karen, Clinton, Sherry, Brianna, Rebecca, Christine, Soak It Up, Soaps, Sandra, or Sandra. Yes. Thank you so much. We were able to get 2 more videos, not just one. And Bethany tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And then I think one of the biggest tickets is probably her roommate. Yeah, I think we have Dylan this week for you. See you back here. Bye-bye. Be kind. Everybody that super chat, thank you so much. Doc Terry, good to see you. 27 months. Oh my God, it's been that long. Donna, $20 super sticker. What the 7? What the 7? Just drop in and say hi, Lana. Lana rules. Catch it on replay. Do it like 2 times speed, man. Get all the info. Get the info. So much info. I just want everybody to have the actual info, not the media version, not the narratives. Like, you can have your own narrative, but you got to use the paperwork. You want a theory? Make it make sense with the paperwork. Okay? All right, guys. We'll see you next time.